In this video, we're going to take a slightly more detailed look at the engine pane itself in ChessBase 11. So I've just picked a game at random out of a recent The Week in Chess database. And to start up the engine, as we saw before, there's a few ways of doing it. But we want to load now our default kibitzer or default chess engine, which in this case is Diepfritz 12. So there you are, that opens up the engine pane. It should be fairly familiar to you if you've used any ChessBase engine products before. So let's have a look at some of the things you can see in the engine pane. First of all, the name of the engine is right here, Diepfritz 12. You can stop the engine analysing the position by clicking this button here. Now the engine is analysing the position on the board, which of course in this case is the opening board position. It's fairly irrelevant what it's saying here. Engines can't. It would be great if engines could actually analyse the initial position and give you a result. So let's jump forward to a random middle game position. There you can go. There you go. You see that Diepfritz has already changed its evaluation. It's now giving an evaluation of plus. You can see because the plus is before the minus, so a positive number of 2.58. Now, the numbers here are actually in the units of a single pawn, so it's in a sense saying a pawn is worth the value of 1, a knight or a bishop would be worth around 3, a rook worth around 5, and a queen worth around 9. So even if the material is equal, which in this case it isn't, there's a bishop and pawn for a knight, you can see that actually is a material imbalance of just around about 1. But as white has a better position, as well as some tactical and strategic chances, it's actually giving an evaluation far in excess of just simply the material imbalance. Now at the moment you can see in the engine pane just the principal variation or the main line that Diepfritz is looking at. The first move that you can see in each of these lines is knight f8. So at the moment it's saying that knight f8 is the best move in this position in the opinion of that chess engine. The reason it's scrolling down, as you can see here, if we move to this window, which is the depth window, it's giving it a value of 20 at the moment, which means 20 half moves or ply. So a value of 1 is simply one player making one move. Then if the opponent replies, that would be 2 ply or 2 half moves, which would give you a depth of 2. So what we're saying here is that at the current moment Fritz is looking 20 half moves ahead. You can also see another value here, and that's because Fritz evaluates in two different ways, as do most chess engines. They do a brute force search, which is checking every possible position, and they also do a selective search. So they cut out things that look obviously bad, which means that they can search much deeper, much more quickly. But the point of this is that Fritz gives a different evaluation each time it looks one half move further on. So the line that we're really interested in is the one that's always at the bottom. As you can see, Fritz just then jumped forward another half move and produced another line here. Still saying knight f8, but the evaluation of the position, now it's looked a bit deeper, has actually gone up to 3.14. So you can actually see the full line that it's looking at and which it considers the best move available on the board. Now, as you can see, it's only giving one line at a time, but if you click this button here, it will show you more than one main line. So if we click it, you can see the display change, giving you one main line and then the second main line. This is usually the second best move that Fritz can find in that position. So you can see that while it still thinks knight f8 is the top move, it thinks that king f8 is the second best move in this position. You can see here the evaluation it's currently giving for knight f8 is exactly +3. Its second best move is actually around +3.81. So substantially less useful as a move in Fritz's opinion. You can see we don't have the scrolling effect now because it's just got the two lines. They'll just update as and when Fritz changes its mind. You can also change these options by going to this button here. You can see there's the option for number of main lines. You can move back to just one principal main line by clicking the minus button here, or you can have even more main lines by clicking the plus button. I mean, you can have as many as you want, or at least as many as there are legal moves in a certain position. But remember, each time you add an extra line here, you're adding extra things that Fritz has to do. So you're essentially slowing down its abilities to search in depth. So in my opinion, you really don't need more than about 2 or 3 lines here. And you'll probably be okay just with the main one. This button here that says 2 CPUs, which is showing you how many processors, or in some cases cores of the processor, are in use at the moment. Now if you just had the non-deep version of Fritz 12, then that can only use one CPU, so you'd never get a different value here. As I'm using deep Fritz 12, which can utilize several processors or several cores on a multi-core processor, you can see that because my computer is dual core, deep Fritz is using both cores. Finally, here we can see the move that it's currently considering, and this is the speed at which it's searching, given in kilonodes per second. This is useful if you have, say, 2 computers running the same engine. You can get a good idea of their relative strength. What it's not useful in doing is comparing 2 different engines on the same computer. So say if I was to load Deep Ribka 4 now, the value of kilonodes per second is usually a great deal less than Fritz. But we know that they're about the same strength, or Ribka is usually touted as being that little bit stronger, and certainly stronger on it's higher up on many of the rating lists. Now that seems a bit counterintuitive. It looks like Fritz is searching faster, and therefore would search deeper, and therefore would come up with stronger suggestions. But you see, it's not quite that simple, and it really depends on how the programmers have implemented that display. If that all sounds a bit complicated, just remember, if you have Deep Fritz 12 running on 2 different computers, you can compare them directly by this value. But if it's 2 different engines, well, this value won't really help you comparing them. So there you go. I hope that all makes sense to you. That's a more detailed look at the engine pane in ChessBase 11.